like.
Actually, seeing Rocket Armor there as well reminds me a little bit about the team. A Korean team that went into playing the Korean leagues, they have had a strong spot a little while back, but recently have been falling off, haven't been really able to perform very well off the past couple of games and the past couple of competitions they've gone into.
Finally, we are into game, and this is going to be the first map for today, Erangel TPP. Starting off in the drop, we have to see what the path of the plane is. Will we see a very deep central flight path, or is it going to be one-sided? Oh, a bit of a heavy delay drop here, granted. We do see some teams dropping early, but the majority of them taking a later one. It's a pretty good central split between the east and western side of the map. Both teams, or rather all teams here, favoring the center area of the map.
Moving in a more central position gives them a lot more space to work around as they try to move into the next couple of plane zones, so it's going to give them quite a nice little space. A few teams now moving over to Benchiki, get a vehicle, and then try to rotate over into another position for themselves.
C9 Korea here. Remember, guys, there are two C9 teams. There's C9 Korea and there's C9. Oh, hold on, a knockdown already, and Salmon just falling to TSM. The team coming in with the early kill, getting themselves on the board. That's going to be 15 points for TSM, a minute and 40 seconds in.
TSM find a quick early kill to set themselves up for that 15 points. Going to be a nice little addition to themselves.
I feel like the objective was to get the vehicle, getting the knockdown, and then the elimination after that is sort of the bonus, the cherry on top of the sundae.
Not very distinct drop halves coming in from some of these teams. We can see a lot of them actually end up in a very similar region. We look at the first playing zone, it's going to be over on that eastern side, top heavy as well.
Oh yeah, that's going to go the way of Liquid, and they're square in the center of this play zone, so they're going to be very happy with that, and they're in a high loot density area as well. Before the map switched over, we have to pay attention to FaZe, who was completely on the western coast of the beach, so it's going to take a bit of effort for them to rotate into the next play zone.
We see Liquid moving into their traditional plays over in Yasnaya, so they have very strong control over that, and they understand the intricacies of finding out a position in this area, so watching as they move into this.
We were talking about this as well. Liquid on Miramar like to play around a Picado. On Erangel, they like to play Yasnaya, and this is something that's through and through very predictable from Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really the spaces that these teams move towards, so it's consistent, and we end up seeing teams work very well off that. No team has really made their way over to Georgia Pole just yet, though.
Yeah, but meanwhile, GDE here, I want to point out that they are playing on the southern island military base here. They're going to be uncontested, so this whole island is theirs to scout out and make use of. That being said, they could get on a boat and transition over to the next play zone there, if they so choose.
So Veroni, two teams had dropped here initially, but Refund taking control over this space. Now we watch some other teams. HQ moving over to Milta by themselves. And HQ, a team that we had seen move towards South Georgia Pole when they could, but have also found themselves very adaptable in the positions they dropped. That's a very interesting adaptation, a way they want to play about the game. Generally, you want to find a position that you're good at and work off that space consistently, instead opting to rotate around according to the flight paths and the kind of trajectories that you end up seeing. Seems as a very adaptable team, but also shows that they won't be able to fully understand and grasp the kind of terrain battles that they would otherwise have if they went to the same spot.
Now, that being said, the circumference of the safe zone is already being kept rather by a couple of teams. They're already sitting on the outside, maybe trying to find some cheeky picks as other teams push in. At this point, granted, it's sub 5 minutes, right? This is the point where you start looting, get a vehicle, and decide what your next set of moves are gonna be. I feel like the decision here might just be to rotate in early. We see a lot of teams gathering their resources and looking to move in and close in onto the safe zone.
I mean, you say find the resources early on, but it's still only 4.5 minutes in. I mean, even a very optimal firing time would probably still be about like 3.5 minutes. So the fact that some of these teams didn't drop in their current position, instead of having to move over, means it just delays them ever so slightly, and they kind of just had to work around that.
To that point, Sun Sisters on the northwestern side of the map near Georgia Pole, and FaZe as well, just playing very far away, like you mentioned, not too worried all too much.
Yeah, very spread out coming in from FaZe, just controlling the western side of the map very much there.
OMG now pushing in. They are in two separate vehicles. Xiaohai here, and then Silent in front in the next one. Meanwhile, Flash Wolves, the home crowd favorites, I would have to say.
I think Flash Wolves in general haven't seen as much rise in the competitions that they've been coming into. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure how well they're gonna perform in on this. Haven't had that much to show for themselves, but they are a pretty reputable organization on their own part. So looking forward to see how they perform. Refund now splitting up the members a little bit, so having moved over from Severny and bringing some of the members elsewhere.
Interesting that they want to do this early, because this is something we tend to see teams do around Phase 2 when they split up into two separate fire teams and then sort of set up a crossfire on the perimeter, instead going early with the split loot situation. What's the strategy here behind it? Do they just want to maximize their resources, or what's going on here, Brandon?
I would say that going in with this like split loot decision kind of shows like what they kind of can expect moving into this next play zone, because it's so large and there's so many different attack vectors you can move in from. It's quite easy to get back in. So if you're on the inside, what you can do at this point is you could go for a slightly worse position in the play zone and opt for a higher loot and try and farm up and get a stronger position. Otherwise, what you could do is you could do a split. Something that we see Liquid perform quite often is that they have two players come in, farm up a little bit more, two other players who farm a little bit less, but then they are ready to rotate at any point, and then you get the team moving together. But obviously, as you see right now, Liquid in a very nice position, having pretty strong control over the center of his play zone.
So Refund Gaming is going to see C9 and A pushing in, K-Mine and Nerf already. We have a couple of Nerf fans in Twitch chat, I believe, so a lot of expectations from this North American team. That being said, they are holding up in this area and they're going to start the looting spree. 7 minutes in, it's still a pretty slow game. There's not too much pressure on the teams to rotate in just yet. Xiaorong is going to take a bit of a fall here from the vehicle, but might just res up soon. Bit of a driving incident there.
Couple teams nearby, get a couple shots off. The wall of smoke gives them some cover.
I think they're taking a couple of shots from 17 there, and this is a bit of a precarious situation from them. A couple of shots coming in as well. Xiaorong now getting knocked down, needs the revive coming out soon as well. Team 17 from China, not really talking all too much about them. So, as we said, there are a couple of underdogs here entering this tournament, despite being invited with very little information to their name.
Off by himself as well. This is a difficult position for him to look for catches onto OMG. They're a little bit lower in health, but they get the heal off very quickly. So now in a good position, working off against 17 and the players. OMG now collapsing with 4 members.
Now remember, this is TPP. He can just sit behind the rock and see them push out and then take the shots after. He's using the cover very well, switching over and trying to get the shot, but nothing is going to really connect. Takes a few pot shots, but the bikes are going to get OMG out safe.
3 sets of shots now. OMG moving away. They get a couple of shots back. Have the vehicles in position to move around. Should see the play zone starting to close in. Draws the team closer towards the center, towards the play zone.
Oh, this is so good from Liquid here. They're already pushing in and they are all geared up nice and well. Look at Scoom. He has a good amount of utility on him as well. The smokes as well as, or rather the energy drinks as well.
HQ takes a couple of shots from 17, get behind some cover. Full backing off there.
Oh man, the immediate damage down to LGD, getting knocked down, and Joker in a bit of trouble. HQ will find a second one onto Sin 8. Is the execution there though? Because the issue is, if they can't get the confirmation, the revives were going to come in. DCR as well, so that's 3 down then. This is a very risky situation for LGD. I'm not sure if they can take this fight. They might be opting to back off as our camera is completely ignoring the situation. Sin 8 is going to fall, and now LGD only have 3 members to work that with, make that 2 as the fight comes down across the side of the building.
It's like 17 in position nearby as well to get a couple shots off. 17 having made this rotation over. HQ now being pinned behind the shack. They have to watch out for other teams looking to move by. They have a little bit of information on HQ.
The 6-time scope coming in and a couple of pot shots across, but a great smoke is going to block off sight of their angle, and they should be able to retreat from there. This is a Scar of a 6-time scope, Grand, and very, very dangerous in far ranges as well, despite the drop-off damage.
Yeah, the M4 definitely has quite a decent amount of damage just over a long range. So having that 6 times Should be able to do a little bit of work here, but looks like HQ just pick up the loot, get a vehicle, and they should be making their way away.
Interesting here, LGD with only one member left. What's the adaptation that they're gonna make? Are they gonna try and sneak into the safe zone or just play on the outside and be the last man in?
LGD are in a difficult position. You can kind of see where they stand on the side of the map. It's difficult because they are now being pincered by 17 and HQ. So as they try and move forward, they might end up getting caught out. And depending on how the next play zone closes in, they have the one added benefit is that the ocean is over by their side, so they know that okay, at least this attack vector is closed off. It's not so likely that anybody's going to come in. It's very difficult to make that boat play. So overall, that should be a safety net for him. But it's very difficult for LGD overall in this moments as he wants to push forward as the play zones are closing in.
TSM now getting a knockdown and the execution on the chip. So Refund Gaming will only have 3 left. TSM with 2 on the board now. Break coming up huge in this first game. 2 kills to his name. Now we see FaZe making the 2 fire team rotation on the right and on the center. The eastern vector is being controlled by GMT and Mexi, and the bottom entry point is going to be controlled by First FaZe as well as Hexeti. They're going to run into GDE in a couple of seconds if they do not move away. But that being said, the center of the play zone getting very congested now, Grandin.
I like the wide rotation coming in from FaZe, gets them into this next set of the play zone. GDE now trying to move forward as well. Wow.
That is so tough.
Difficult play zone coming in. Now you can see Liquid already trying to push forward. Hongkong 9 over by the side as well.
And this is the patented 2 fire team playstyle that Liquid is using. James is pushing in onto the bike. Very quick mobility. Ibiza just behind him. Might run into HK9. Oh, getting slightly ahead of it and almost becoming roadkill. Floyd barely missing out on an opportunity.
Hongkong 9 opting to move away from that, instead trying to get into a better position in the play zone first. Over on the side, Flash Wolves gets a couple of shots off onto Hongkong 9, not able to do too much just yet.
Momo lining up the shot, not really finding anything just yet. Sing is going to be able to drive away. It's been the story of this game thus far, lining up shots, somehow trying to make them connect, but finding no joy whatsoever.
Flashos have a pretty good position for themselves over in the center of this next play zone. The team's now starting to push in. FaZe joining in a little bit late.
Yeah, we have to pay our attention towards HK9 and Refund and C9 Korea as well. There are 3 teams here looking to make this a menage a trois. And it's going to be very messy in a couple of seconds because half of the play zone is water and a couple of shots breaking out already. HK9 and C9 Korea in a fight in the center of this. Meanwhile, Smack taking down Sabre across the map.
C9 Korea not moving forward to help the teammate out.
Oh! Okay, false alarm, Grandin Wiz will fall, but he gets some sort of return kill in the form of Floyd. I say that, it's going to be a knockdown only, so no execution just yet. 58 on the map still. We're 13 minutes in and the play zone is so dangerous. Teams having very little to work with.
They killed him so hard, we lost connection.
Jesus. It's a day of technical issues, my man.
C9 Korea holding off on the side as well. It looks like HK9 actually is starting off with like 3 players right away.
I like the set piece here from C9 Korea. They have the vehicles and they have the mobility to get around the map. Xiaorong now falling again. What's with OMG and driving? It seems like they just cannot catch a break in these vehicles today.
And that's going to hurt him a lot in the way that, I mean, it's not going to hurt him in terms of armor or in terms of his helmet, but it's going to cost him that revive time. So the amount of time that he has left before he can find that revive is going to get significantly reduced after this his second knockdown, right?
Strategically, it's going to be an issue here for OMG. If they get themselves into a sticky situation, the revives are going to take a while more to come through, and the execution might be just behind that.
Yeah, it's basically close to a liability at this point. I mean, if he gets taken down, might want to just let him stay down. Now, Rocket Armor pushing forward. This is the Korean team I was talking about. They haven't seen the best standout performance in their own region. Now pushing in from the southern side, the southeastern side of the map.
Now you can see on your screen, Break had 2 kills. Might just find a 3rd here. Smack, TSM have 3 kills on the board, and Sabrek is going to get executed here. C9 and A pushing as a unit just behind FaZe, First FaZe. Not really knowledgeable about the situation happening behind him, so the flank might be very deadly indeed.
C9 holding on to this position. They have a little bit of cover. Could work well against FaZe right now.
Starting to see the strategic differentials from teams. There are some that like to play in 2 fire teams. There are some that move as a unit. That being said, on the bottom eastern side of the map, you can see a fight breaking out between GDE and Rocket Armor, I think. A couple of shots going across. It's going to be TJW that's taking the focus off the fire.
FaZe actually get drawn over by the firefight, so they've caught the attention of one of the stronger teams here. Might look to see them move forward. GDE now over on the side, trying to find his return shots onto Rocket Armor. pushing forward the UAZ. They should see themselves being able to make their way over to the rest of the team.
Yeah, Hexa having to reload, lining up the shot onto GDE, but like I said, not really finding anything there. These are all just, wishes being thrown. If they connect, then, that's great, but it's more or less to dissuade them from re-engaging onto them.
Multiple teams have made the same decision to make this wide rotation over to the corner of the side of the map, then pushing in from this road. The Povka now having multiple teams housed within it and nearby as well.
I foresee this going to be a bloodbath in the next couple of seconds as the safe zone shifts towards the more central area. There's a lot more island in this, and teams are going to have to play around this a lot more.
LGD actually gives himself away.
Hello? Going for a swim?
He looks for a couple shots onto GDE, rotating over. The rest of GDE now opting to try and push from the side.
Yeah, he's looking to pop a nade out as well, and GDE looking to go for the PG-117 here. Getting the boat before the safe zone closes in might be the great answer that they need to make the wide rotation across from the eastern vector, Grandin.
Of course, they can make this large movement over from the side, but you see HQ in a very strong position to come and intercept them and
Yeah,
try
to
and
cut
push
you
forward.
off here because Catch is going to get knocked down by Sun Sisters, and the execution just behind that. He's kiting around the vehicle, making great use of the cover. Gabe cannot really find anything. Meanwhile, Eureka getting a couple of shots across as well.
Teammate just a second lane on those shots, has his teammate fall as well, so Catch dropping, but they managed to trade back onto Sun Sisters.
You know what they're doing now, Brandon? Eureka is trying to blow up the vehicle, at least trying to get some shots down so he can at least eliminate Gabe as a response.
That's going to take a while, though.
I see it shaking. It's
Sun Sisters is going to take a little bit more time before they can make their way over to help the teammate, but it doesn't look like they want to do so. Instead, the execution coming in, the bleed out. So it's a 1-for-1 trade for C9 Korea.
not too bad. They still have 3 members, I believe, on the map. Meanwhile, Xiaorong driving away from his team. You can see in the center of it all, it is Flash Wolves that has control, in Team 17 as well from China.
There we go, HU get a couple shots onto GDE, looking to try and take them out, and there we go, the first player.
Oh, friendly fire, not exactly what you're looking for in this sort of situation. Granted, you called it as it was. HQ will spot the rotation in from GDE, and now bullets are being rained down onto the Hong Kong team.
A pity that he only has a red dot sight. If he has had a scope, no, he has one.
There
Comes
you
in
go.
with the car.
Remember, it's only a single shot weapon, so he can't really land all too much at one go. Still taking pot shots at this boat, and it's gonna blow up, and that might do a bit of damage and should stick to GDE.
HU's in position to try and intercept boat mobility, and that's why you generally don't see teams opting for kind of strategy. Instead, you look for teams like what Rocket Armor did. They moved out of the play zone, pushed in from the western side, the southwestern side, and that corner you can see now being in a nice position to get a couple shots on the phase.
Now they're holding on a great compound, as you mentioned, Rocket Armor. Not really too worried about getting sieged up upon. Phase in open ground, I believe, in a very risky position. Meanwhile, Team 17 in the center, the red team, you can see on your map, is in a compound of their own, and they're taking the fight to HK9 as well.
LGD and GDE are sitting outside the play zone, holding on for as long as they can. GDE, the rest of the team, push up to that corner by the coastline.
We're getting to the point now, it's almost 20 minutes, we're 18.5 minutes in rather. And this is what separates the men from the boys, Grant. And I want to say that getting to this point is easy, but how you finish the game from here is going to devolve into strategies, right? You need to have the set pieces to win these fights in the late game. There's still 54 members left on the map, and that's going to be very messy as it continues to shrink.
OMG are not in a bad position at all. It depends a little bit on the luck on where the play zone is going to end up. But overall, not in a bad position. Instead, what they now have to worry for is if the play zone doesn't land on them, then they suddenly have to deal with multiple teams in a nearby space. But here we go.
OMG are going to love that.
This is a good space for them.
And they have 2 separate fire teams as well, so 2 squads split up across the safe zone. Gives them so much control. They can set up this crossfire if anyone walks through them. But Xiaohai and Lion KK are just going to back off with the vehicle, maybe looking to regroup with the team. Shots coming in onto HK9 and C9 Korea. They're just going to drive past each other. Meanwhile, Flash Wolves in this compound are outside of the safe zone, so the decision might have to be made to push in relatively soon.
Flash will still have a little bit more time before they're forced to move forward. Still, with the full team, they could look to try and push in Hong Kong 9 as well as C9 KR. Find a couple shots onto each other. Eureka takes a little bit of damage, gets knocked down.
That's going to be a couple more shots in to finish off the player from C9 Korea, and Xiaohai is the one that continues the kill credit. Oh, winner with a nade on himself, and that is not where you're looking for, man. Meanwhile, No is going to die to the DPS from the damage externally.
That's a very strange thing to allow to happen. I mean, if you're going to have a player sit outside to try and hold out for as long as possible, you should still walk in right before your meds run out.
Yeah, the idea is to stay on the circumference as much as possible, avoiding confrontation while still healing up, right, Grandin? So
yeah,
a bit of a misplay there, I think, coming in as well. GDE, No will fall eventually after getting knocked down, but here the fight breaking out. No Talk is going to get knocked down. Flash Wolves now in a precarious spot.
Refund pushing in will end up walking right by C9NA. Multiple teams now collapsing onto this small position. TSM get a couple shots off, but 17 in the good position nearby as well. In the crossfire, Sun Sisters get shots onto TSM. Now they have to respond to this break, losing a lot of health very quickly.
Yeah.
Smokes come in, they're trying to look for the revive.
Meanwhile, C9NA is popping off, and Sun Sisters as well. So this is a huge fight breaking out on the high ground here. C9 will get a bunch of kills immediately. Funky M and Pino falling for Refund Gaming. So there's only 2 left on the Vietnamese team. Meanwhile, C9 and A coming out big here. GDE somehow finding the flank onto Sun Sisters, getting 2 kills for themselves and a knockdown as well, but they will lose now in the process. JY getting 3 for his team and coming up big.
GDE were in an interesting position just a few moments ago with AHQ watching down on them and trying to take them out. It's insane that they managed to come in and find a catch on the Sun Sister, wiping them out, it looks like.
Yeah, they will be the first team to be eliminated in this first game, and finishing 16th place is not really what you want. Meanwhile, Milk is going to get killed by Lion KK. OMG getting the kill on their counterparts.
AHQ now trying to push in as quickly as possible, but getting taken out.
Lion KK going to find another victim here, and K3 will get eliminated. So AHQ down to only 2 members on their squad. This high ground being held here by Arrowwolf.
Ebo in a nice position. LGD, the last player from the team TGW, has pushed in all the way from the bottom side of the map, and HQ
now. 2 of them getting eliminated, so HQ, the 15th team to finish. And unfortunately here, LGD still sticking in place, somehow managing to clutch out a couple of sneaky points for themselves. Refund Gaming will find Floyd Q, and Refund gonna get taken out across HK9, and Refund finding a firefight across the wall. Keep zone as much as they can.
TSM as well as what looks to be 17 were up in that top side of this play zone. Still in a very strong position overall, but TSM are gonna face a little bit of difficulty as they try to move in.
Looking at the positioning, who do you think has the advantage here? Because a lot of fights breaking out, but at the end of it, it's gonna be Flash Wolves that loses another. And Flash Wolves now in a 3-man stack. Almost.
That's a big care package. You should be looking towards finding that. Liquid now playing along the sides. Rocket Armor push in just ever so slightly. James gets a couple shots off.
And this is the first that Liquid has ever, the first aggressive move that Liquid has made this whole game. They've been moving around and sneaking around under the guise of the enemies, but now just taking a couple of shots here.
Going towards this late game, OMG still in a very strong position. You ask me who I think have the best position here. I think OMG are in a great position now, working around this really strong space. They have a very nice angle of vision. They can spot out multiple opponents as they try and move in.
James now finding a double nade onto M Young as well as J Edward, and I think Rocket Armor suddenly finds themselves in a situation where they only have 2 members left. Solid FPS now, just behind the vehicle. Rory taking a bit of a high knee to take this fight to Rocket Armor. Meanwhile, James and Scoom finding Rocket Armor and getting the execute phase, and Liquid actually teaming up and eliminating Rocket Armor off the map. Hexa and Edward gonna fall. And this is Rocket eliminated now in 11th place.
Yeah, surely it has to be Rocket taken out. At this point now, OMG get a couple shots onto Liquid. They have such a great position. 17 gets a couple shots off onto TSM.
They're just bringing them down. Meanwhile, LGD falling off. TJW was the one to die there, finding his team a 10th place finish, more than they should have gotten in the start. C9 Korea now finding the fight against Arrowwolf.
LGD surviving far longer than we had expected. And 17 continue to hold this position down, but they have to make the decision to move quickly. Not much left to be gained there.
Oh, Arrowwolf gonna drop here. Another member, HK9, gets the kill credit. It's gonna be Mixed Law now with a kill to his name.
OMG still in a very nice position. C9 and A hat want to try and push in.
HK9 with the flank, getting multiple members of Arrowwolf down, and this Indonesian team taking the bare brunt of the beating. Only left with a single member left, I believe.
But C99 now joining into the fight. HK9 taking a little bit of damage off of that. 17 continue to find aggression onto TSM. But it looks like TSM draws aggro from some other angle as well.
Yeah, great use of cover there to avoid the damage coming in from 17. It's a split up here from TSM. They're going in through multiple vectors into the safe zone. Meanwhile, HK9 still holding the circumference and the perimeter of the safe zone, wanting to gatekeep and deny entry to anyone that wants to enter.
OMG with phenomenally lucky early setup. Continue to hold this position down. Acting as the sentry within the space, they have great angles on top of everybody else in this game.
HK9 now, I don't think they can push in. They're not confident enough to make this move in. You can see they're playing so defensively, maybe waiting for everyone else to entry first and then be the later ones in. Meanwhile, C9 Korea, K-Mine will get the knockdown to mix law. HK9, because of the open area they were playing in, they're going to get caught out here by C9 North America.
And he continue to find aggression onto HK9. The playing zone now closing in even more. OMG lose their space advantage.
Yeah, the circle moving the way heavily of FaZe Clan here, so the adjustment has to be made from OMG to make the play into the safe zone.
OMG making a quick call to get Navigo and are now pushing up towards the top side, so a very tight rotation coming in. The rest of the teams now have to make a decision as well. C9 NA pushing forward, versus slightly, but now we have 3 teams
just sitting on the edge of this. Yeah, you're right. And TSM and Team 17 as well, just next to each other on the northern side of this area of the map.
Rory looks to be the sacrificial lamb at this point. He wants to just hold 17 down, provide information for the rest of his team, and the rest of his team, TSM, holding on to this play zone, should be moving into together.
Yeah, with their backs towards the blue as well, TSM gonna have to push in very soon. Liquid, OMG, and FaZe, the tier 1 teams that we called out in our pregame, are still alive and kicking, and they have all 4 members, so they're looking to finish strong still if they can.
Things are looking difficult.
Oh, the flag coming in, and that's a massive kill there for C9 Korea. The exception gets it on the NC Slasher. Meanwhile, Scoop lining up the shots, pulling the trigger onto Team 17 that will find Lao J1, and the rest of the team, no. Team 17 managing to get behind cover, so Scoom only gets 1 there.
But a block back with the OMG and 17 as they now trying to contest the same position. 17 look to drop another player.
Yeah, 17 is getting pincered all around. OMG are inside the house as well, so they're setting up this play. And they're trying to blow this one up, dropping the smoke there on his teammate to disengage. Meanwhile, TSM Rory finding a kill onto Team 17. HK9 and TSM now taking the fight, but C9NA joining in and making this a disadvantageous fight for HK9.
TSM, Smack trying to push in by himself, but FaZe over in a nearby position.
Yo, this is a terrible position for 17 because they're outside the house, they can push in, and they have no cover to speak of. They're taking the appropriate measures to try and push in, and C9 Korea getting eliminated by their counterparts from North America. Dingception, the last one to go down.
Now C9NA happening in a constant stalemate with HK9 over on the right side of this play zone.
Yeah, Grant, take a look at what's going on inside this house here. 17 trying their best to push in and gain some sort of positioning, but OMG with the flag outside the house, they're coming in from the back and they're getting the massacre on a 17 and they eliminate them from the game. Just an amazing play from the outside in. Reverse switcheroo, and OMG gets themselves the knockout.
But the action doesn't end there just yet. HK9 get eliminated as C9NA find their intercept. HK9 in a stalemate
the
against their
roster coming in completely new in this tournament, doing a lot of work for C9NA. I had my doubts watching them, but I'm going to cut myself off because a lot of action happening across the map. TSM now getting the kills onto OMG and eliminating multiple members here from the Chinese squad. The finishers of PGIT FPP #1 are getting dropped off the map here by TSM.
TSM Rory now finally gets taken down as well. Smack, the last player on TSM. OMG look to get wiped out. Now it's down to C9NA, Liquid, TSM, and FaZe.
It's a good split here because you can see FaZe have control of both angles here around the safe zone, but Liquid just playing on the perimeter, not being too worried. They're circling around like sharks in the water and they smell blood.
Interesting rotation coming in. C9NA holding on to the slow position, not looking to push in just yet, but FaZe looking like they want to intercept C9, so they know that they don't have any other options.
This is top 4. This is a lot of points worth for whichever team that's still in the game, and eyes on the money. They want to finish first for their sweet, sweet 500.
C9 with the zone onto the backs, and let's go TSM!
TSM, the first one to fall will be Smack, and now they are in the aggressive position to push up C9NA. You can just see charging uphill, but they will run into FaZe. FaZe immediately get the drop onto C9NA, and Nerf will be the first one to get knocked down. They have to retreat. The aggressive push getting stopped here by FaZe Clan as they have the upper ground now. Maxi is the one to lead the charge for his team.
Liquid getting aware of this information, start to creep forward in the play zone.
Yeah, but they have to push because the blue is just on their backs, and if they don't, they're gonna get pincered out here. This is being stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Straight back onto FaZe, Jempty gets taken down. Now the play zone coming in, K-Mine has to push forward.
They're pushing uphill, but this is a very, very difficult situation for them to be in. You can see the split here coming from FaZe. Jempty getting eliminated, C9NA as well as FaZe duking it out on the top of the hill. The battle for control. FaZe will be the ones retreating because they only have 2, whereas C9NA, they have 4. The mem advantage coming in huge for the North American team.
But FaZe don't have any options left. Liquid already in an incredibly central position in the play zone.
This is from Liquid. They don't even want to fight. They just say, you guys can duke it out. We hear the gunshots. We're just going to hold the center of this, and Liquid still in the center of it all now, just firing away, taking shots at anyone that tries to enter. You can see FaZe circling around the circumference, not wanting to take this fight. They only have 2 left. Meanwhile, the shots coming from James Ibiza as well. C9NA gonna lose a single member after the shot in from Ibiza. He's hiding behind a tree, the 2-man tall figure.
Maxi over on his side, Nerf and Moody now trying to push in. The grenade coming in from James. They're looking for the catch. They do manage to spot him out.
It's still 4 members strong, and Team Liquid have full control of this. First phase is going to die to the environmental damage, and Liquid now holding the center, looking to close this game out strong with 4 members. We had our doubts coming in, but now Liquid's going to finish off phase, and it's just going to be them and the C9 North American squad, and there you go, Liquid taking game 1. You can see smiles all around, Scoom standing up, putting on his glasses, and Ibiza, they're coming in huge in that game. I mean, if you've seen him in real life, he's really tall, but coming in huge, not literally, but metaphorically in that game was really what clinched them the victory.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say, Liquid being one of the teams that you would expect to perform very well alongside teams like FaZe coming in. Surprisingly, or rather maybe not surprisingly anymore, C9NA performed very well as well, coming into this top 4 finish. The thing that I definitely want to look out for is the consistency that Liquid and FaZe are able to pull out. OMG dropping relatively early despite having a very strong mid-game.
And you can't say that that was luck because the circle shifted towards all 3 or all 4 of the top finishing teams, right? OMG had their time in the sun, Liquid had their time in the sun, FaZe had their time in the sun as well. There were multiple instances where the safe zone was square on top of them and they had control of the area. So it was really smart, consistent play coming in, the adaptations from all of the teams in the top 3 to land themselves in that spot.
Yeah, so beautiful awareness over the next position they have to be in as the way they try and rotate. You can see how the play zone starting in the position that they drop in over in Yasnaya, they managed to rotate and continue to exploit the advantage that they developed. And off of that had a great game number 1.
Yeah, we should remind our viewers that this is going to be 4 maps of Erangel, so there's not too much variation in terms of TPP or FPP. It's going to be same map TPP all the way, and this is going to allow adaptation and strategy as we move on, right?
Yeah, we're looking to see how game number 1 shapes up for our teams.
Man, Liquid has some good amount of Chinese fans here.
I think Liquid has a good amount of fans everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
The PUBG team has just generally done so well internationally at this point that it has developed a pretty substantial fan base.
Yeah, what, 2nd place, PGI finishing, TPP, FPP, just overall extremely well done.
So looking forward to see how they can maintain this position for themselves. As we mentioned earlier on, we are looking at a pretty wide skill gap between some of these teams.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but there were instances where you can see LGD dropping so quickly. Really speaks to a degree of skill differential. That's something we will probably go into in the next game. We're trying to analyze that a bit more, but for now, we're going to throw it back to the MC. They'll probably have an interview, I think, or a lucky draw, something of the sort, you know, some event-based stuff. With that, guys, we're going to take a short break and we'll go to the MC after this.
Yeah.
Nope, not yet.
1 minute. We had 1 minute.
1 minute, right.
1 minute call to the MC.
That's my bad, right?
But you know, that's the 1 minute call that would have made the difference between
30 seconds now.
Between life and death in a map.
Oh boy. It's a interesting day so far. Day 1, we had some technical issues, but with that, I think we've all but resolved everything, right? There's nothing much that we have to worry about.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. For you guys on stream, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm starting to lose my words a bit. I'm gonna have a drink of water, and for now, we're gonna bounce it to the MCs.